So when I first set up this light, I was really impressed. It is bright, and at a whopping 500 watts, it's way brighter than my previous Molus G200. And that was already solid at a max 300 watts, but this light just blasts past that. So let's get straight into the review with my first impressions. And first of all, I want to talk about the size. Now, at first glance, it kind of looks like a big light, but don't forget, this is a 500 watt CRB LED light, and typically lights of this brightness usually have big power bricks that are external to the light itself. So it's extra equipment, but with this Zhiyun Molus B500, it's all in the one unit. There's no external power brick. It's just one single power cable into the light and you're good to go. So I personally find this quite impressive. Every other CRB light that I've used in the past has always had a large external power supply. And for me, I genuinely appreciate having less gear in my office cluttering up the space. The actual light itself is roughly the size of an Aperture 120D Mark II if you've used them before. So it's not a tiny body, but again, when you think about how bright this is and the fact that it doesn't have an external power brick, it's actually really compact. The build quality also genuinely feels really impressive. I think that's something I've noticed with Zhiyun products a lot, is that despite the fact that they don't always use quote unquote premium materials like metal, the materials that they do use feel really quite premium. Like the body of this B500 is also made out of plastic, but the quality honestly feels on par with my Aperture, which is made out of metal. So in some ways, it's almost an advantage that it's made out of plastic because it ends up being lighter. Now, in terms of real world use, I'm personally using the B500 right now in this shot as my main key light, and I have it paired with an Aperture softbox. This is what I've used all my main CRB lights for. But again, the brightness output on this thing is really quite impressive. I've currently got it set to 30% brightness. And for me as a solo content creator, I think one of the most noticeable benefits of having a more powerful light like this is that because I don't have to run it at such high percentages, it actually runs cooler and it's not as noisy. So again, using my G200, usually when I have that cranked to 60 to 70%, this tiny little office gets really hot really quick. And then the fans will kick in, get a little bit of fan noise in the background. Whereas I've already filmed another video before this one, and I've had this on for maybe 45 minutes now, and it's actually not that warm in this office right now, which is a huge change from my previous light. Plus the extra brightness gives me more options in terms of how I want to light my A-roll. So that's definitely a pro to having a more powerful light. In terms of the actual light quality itself, I don't have tools to measure the accuracy of this light, but what I've just observed with my own footage comparing it to my older lights, I found my skin tones look really natural. There's no weird tints or anything like that. It does seem really color accurate from what I can tell, and there's no flickering or anything like that, even at higher frame rates. And so to me, the quality of the light is easily on par with all the other CRB LED lights I've used in the past. Now getting back to cooling, like I mentioned just before, the B500 has a triple fan setup, but I've actually never seen a light with a triple fan setup like this. So it's got two fans on either side and then one at the back, and then it pushes all the air out the top and bottom of the body. Now obviously I think this is probably needed with a light that goes to 500 watts, but in the real world, I think in my experience, the main benefit is that it runs cooler overall, especially at lower percentages of brightness, which again is really handy for me in a really small studio space. Now the controls for the light is the one area that I had a little bit of frustration with. So starting off, you've got actual physical control dials on the body of the light itself, and these feel really good. They feel really high quality, very easy to use. You can control both the color temperature and the brightness with these two dials, as well as changing presets just by clicking on them. However, as soon as you put the light onto a C-stand and put it higher than like 6 feet, these dials quickly become out of reach. And it's also hard to see the little LED screen on the light to see what the settings are currently set to. So just out of the box, again, because it doesn't have an external control box, the only way to control the light remotely is with a Bluetooth app on your smartphone. Now I actually have no issues with the app itself. It does everything you need it to, including the ability to change brightness and color temperature and go through all the different effects that the light has. But it is definitely kind of annoying having to pull your phone out every time, take those 10 to 15 seconds to connect it to the actual light so that you can control it. It's definitely more convenient having physical controls on the C-stand itself so you can quickly change any settings that you need. However, I did find out that Zhiyun actually sells an external remote control, which you can connect with USB-C directly into the side of the lamp. And that would obviously completely fix this issue. And I really wish they included it as standard with the light, because if you want to go and buy it externally, it's $99. So it's not the cheapest for a little control box. I think I would prefer it if they just included that into the cost of the light. So what do you get in the box? You obviously get the light itself, you get the power cable, and then you get a standard reflector. So by default, there's no case. and there's no remote. For me, no case is definitely not a deal breaker, but like I said, I wish the remote was included as standard. In terms of power options, there's no way to natively connect an external battery to this light. So if you're thinking of using this on external shoots, outdoors and stuff like that, you just have to keep in mind that you will need some sort of AC power. But again, for me, in my use case, I never use batteries for these kinds of lights, so it's not an issue. If you're using it indoors, primarily, it's also not going to be an issue if you've got easy access to power points. Now, in terms of the price and value, it currently retails for approximately 1,200 Australian dollars, which is about 770 US dollars. So it's not the cheapest light in the world, but I think it's actually really good value, especially when you consider how compact and portable it is, combined with the level of output you get from this at 500 watts. To me, it easily competes with other brands like Aperture in terms of performance and build quality, and I would say it has the edge in terms of portability and compactness when you also compare it with those types of brands. So the main two lights that I've used in the past is the Aperture Lightstorm 120D Mark II and then the Zhiyun Molus G200. But I've also used a range of other Aperture lights in the past, and compared to them, the B500 wins hands down in terms of overall brightness, plus the cooling in terms of that triple fan setup and fan noise. Like so far, I haven't had any issues with it being too loud. I've currently got it running at 30% and I can barely hear the fans. And honestly, I've been recommending the Molus G200 for ages now, and that's still a really good light, but this one definitely outperforms it. I think the only downside to this compared to the G200 is that lack of physical controls, at least by default out of the box. So my final thoughts, I love this light. I highly recommend it if you're a creator looking for a serious light that's compact, no fuss, and just really solid and reliable. If you're looking to upgrade to something a bit more powerful, then it's really hard to go wrong with this light. And for me, it's one of the best lighting upgrades that I've had in a while. Don't forget, if you want to check out the B500, there'll be a link in the description. Let me know in the comments, what's your current lighting setup? What is your main key light? Are you looking at getting the B500 or do you have something else in mind? Otherwise, if you want to know how I actually lit this entire scene, I've got a video explaining exactly that right here.